All right. Originally, I had created a video, but then I lost it because I was moving around my board here. My technical analysis, right? So I'm gonna make this one a little bit more shorter. It's not gonna be like in high def with me explaining every little moment, right? But basically, what I see is that we got this divergence here. Psychoanalysis, we come into a bottom there. Other indicators also say that there could be some, leverage on that. Is a bottoming area within around the middle of January, right? You got a pivot strong here with no negatives at a 6, and the lowest bar on that is going to be around, is that $2.25. Then you have 2 to 1 here, 2 being positive, 1 being negative at around $2. So if we look at Bookmap, right? Um, this is basically order flow. This is like the order book, right? If we zoom in, it's like a heat map. So we zoom in here and get it to show me what I want to see. All right. So you see how these peaks are here, here, here. You see all these little peaks there, right? And this one doesn't really count. Um, and the heat itself, which is here and here and here, right? You got a little bit here, right? And you got a little bit there, and some definitely here. Um, Judging by it, right? At $3.30, you got 200,000 and some change. At $5, you got 244,000 and some change. At $6, you got $130,000 of change. And then at $10, you got a 128,000 and some change, right? So on a scale, supply and demand, right? You're gonna look at it like this, right? This $5 range, this is like the highest area of sell orders, right? So it's basically the supply is like at peak here, but you can also say supply is at peak in the short term right here around the $3.30 level, right? So three significant areas. It's got 330. I would call that, but we're not. We're going to call this because if it breaks through that, then most likely we'll stop at this. But if it breaks through this, then why wouldn't it consume that, right? Um, so yeah, $5 and the maximum one on the board, other than the other two or three, if you want to count the $4, would be the $10 range. And personally, I think what's going to end up happening, it's just an idea, right? Is that the $3.30 range is going to get wiped out, maybe even the $4 range. And if that happens, I think the $5 range is going to move into the $10 range, and it won't have so much resistance here, other than probably the 6, maybe. Um, just looking at it like that, right? So that's one thing, and this is another thing here, right? Predictions say that we're going to hit an upward trend, at least by, if you add in this to that, cut it down the middle, you could say at least by the end of January, right? As long as it's above the center line, it's positive momentum. It's below there, it's negative momentum, right? This one right here kind of like adjusts as we go, so I'm not taking everything, like on point. But psychoanalysis says the dominant cycle, right, and the intermediate cycles, right, like we had over here at 60 cents, the dominant cycle was this low and then it faded, right? So the peak was here, or nah, peak was right around here. This is double top, right? So here and here, this left a hole in the middle, but still, um, You have the monthly cycle moving down. You have the 2 week cycle oversold, and that's probably the reason why it had a bounce. Um, and then, of course, from that point on, the slope goes up and then it goes down. But it all depends on, like if it's a right handed translation or left handed translation, right? So this was a right handed translation, right? Because the low that it started at is lower than where it ended at. So if it goes from here to there, if I was to draw a line from here to where the cycle ended, call it like that, from here to there, this area is higher than where it started from. So, in order to have the same effect, this area should be the low and this area should be a high if it's in a bullish translation, right? So we can move that. We can do the same thing, which kind of invalidates it here, right? That means we're going to have to tilt the slope. We can do the same thing with tilting the slope. God dang. And then that'll be kind of a flat scale. But for shits and giggles, let's just go ahead and say it was that. And like I said, the highest price is probably going to be that I can see it making it up to is a double, or nah, not even that. We're gonna say like $4, right? So until the monthly starts changing to get to go up to like where it was at here, right? I mean, as the monthly being down like this in the forecast, I really can't see the price getting up really high. I mean, I could see it like here, maybe $4. You know what? Because it double whammied. I mean, we could just fucking say that yeah, we made it up to $8. But honestly, I'm more into like where supply and demand is at, right? With order book, right? So there's a strong supply at around $4. I would say in the short term, we're gonna struggle to break $3.20, which is see this red line right here. Let me zoom in. All right, you see this red line right here? That's like $3.28. This zone, I don't think it's gonna break that zone anytime soon. And if it does, then it's gonna be like some type of news report or something. I don't know. Someone's gonna suck up those shares. Um, so yeah, with time, right? Now I believe this is going to be an upward move, so we're going to start actually here. We can do that. Uh oh. If it goes up to $4, right, this is probably the routine it could have, but I don't know. It's like the weather forecast, right? The closer we get to that day, the more accurate it's going to be. So, and then you can't add in like this is pure TA, so you cannot add in any type of reports like news reports, fundamental analysis. You can't add that into it because those moves are going to be different, right? From a fundamental report, if we have good earnings, then it could pop. So, and that's my expectations. Honestly, this whole thing is fundamentally driven to me. It's not really a technical play, but I'm using technicals to determine, how or why it would go in that direction, right? Other than fundamentals. So, because everyone wants to stick to one or the other, it's kind of like, you can't be a scientist and believe in religion at the same time. It just doesn't work, right? Because science says that we evolved, and religion says we were created, and it just doesn't work, right? So it's like technical analysis and fundamental analysis. It's like one says opposite of another sometimes, but I'm trying to combine them both together, right, and create a thing, pretty much. I know something that works, in my opinion. And then there are also other templates that I got over here. Like on this one, it says the lowest price with the highest purchase value was at $2.45. It has a 60% gain over losses, right? And then over here at $2.39, it's 24, right? 100% is right here at $3.17, but we're thinking about the lower bar end, right? We don't want to be worried about the middle stuff like that. It's like we're trying to focus on lower bars, as well as like this oscillator right here in the blue and orange is a volatility oscillator. This oscillator right here in the white is a market structure oscillator. And if you time it in with psychoanalysis, as well as candlestick patterns and divergences, that when the orange and the baby blue peak and the structure is um, this is overbought, that's oversold, there's an opportunity to buy. It's not saying that it's written in stone because like this one's a fake out, right? This one's more significant because it has two waves instead of one, right? And that was at the 60 cents level. And then you have psychoanalysis stating this bottom area. You had another one here where you know, the volatility indicators both went up, but they did both going oversold, overbought. But one did, and it was right here at this level, while market structure was down to, you know, um, broken, right, basically, right? So that could have been a buying opportunity, but it wasn't the buying opportunity because it didn't have the right chemistry there. We're in a negative. See, this has oversold, like it's like overflow, oversold, and you got divergence. So this is pretty much setting up for the perfect storm right here, right? Then you have the monthly and the weekly both in oversold territory. So it's like combining them all together, and this is the outcome this is the data that you have, right? The outcome isn't determined by anything other than the price action itself, because regardless if you use psychoanalysis, algorithmic analysis, and other things, it's not going to dictate how high the price is going to be. Order flow can do that though, and that's the reason why it stopped at almost $5. So yeah, you had one here, right, when it went into oversold, overbought, but it wasn't significant. Right, you had one here, which wasn't significant really at all, but it did happen. It peaked, right? They both broke above the oversold zone, got into medium, and this one did get into did get into oversold zone. So that was like an opportunity, but is it that significant? No, it's not. Then you have another one here where this one got out of the oversold zone and started rolling over. Well, this one was in the oversold zone, and then you got the whale indicators lighting up green here, green there when that one did that thing, and there wasn't none here, unfortunately. So like every indicator has a story to tell, and my job is to combine all the stories together and see what It's like making a soup, right? Combine all the seasons together and see what you get. So that's that one. And we can come to this one. This one's more highlighted. It's got other zones, got other probability scales. I don't want to get too much into it. This is just a testing tool. And here's another testing tool, right? So this is another one, and I'm not going to get into it. This is another one, right? I'm trying to pick out, like, I'm trying to cherry pick, like what cooperates good together, right? What doesn't. So you have to run through tests, and this is a theory. I like trading cryptocurrency. So yeah, being said, I believe from what I'm looking at right now is that we could hit a low somewhere towards the middle to the end of January, because typically seasonality suggests on a month to month basis over a whole year study that the first 2 weeks of Clover is green and the last 2 weeks are red. Then you got in particular months, and you could twist it and try to figure out how it works, right? Like cogs, right? Try to fit it together. But for the most part, the order flow, the order book says that there's a significant area of supply at $3.20. I wouldn't be surprised if it rejects that level again and again until, like, I don't know, maybe news comes out about them having contracts with another company like Humana or something. But this is a strong zone. This $2 level, it just continuously rejects going below it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does go below it and it only does it once. All right, so that's me thinking about Clover Health, technical analysis, stuff like that. And I'm going to continue to monitor it, because you got to bet on something. And you bet on something, you need to win. If you don't win, there ain't no point in playing. So that's the way we're doing it. Peace out.